Canelo Alvarez has been the king of super middleweight, but now a storm is coming from two weight classes below. The boxing world is heating up with whispers. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is closer than ever. And while most see the size gap as a mountain, Crawford will have to climb. One powerful voice from Floyd Mayweather's inner circle sees it differently.
Do you think he beats Canelo in September?
Yeah, I believe he beats Canelo.
This isn't just casual talk. Jay Prince, Mayweather's former manager and a major force in boxing business, has seen greatness up close. He guided Floyd through some of the biggest nights of his career, and now he's betting on Crawford to do what only Mayweather and Bivol have done: hand Canelo Alvarez a loss. Crawford's last fight was at 154. If this fight happens, he'll need to move up again, this time to 168. But Prince doesn't see that as a problem at all.
Yeah, I think Crawford, there's no wear and tear on him that I've witnessed watching him spar and watching him in the ring over the years. And he know what he's doing.
In other words, Crawford may be lighter, but he's fresh, sharp, and according to Prince, still getting better.
Eso. Venga. 5, venga. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eso. Enjoy.
Canelo is no pushover. He's been dominant at super middleweight and has a championship-level feel for the division. His power, timing, and experience at 168 are undeniable. In fact, his only 2 losses have come to 2 of the best technicians boxing has seen in decades, Mayweather and Bivol. But Prince doesn't see that as a knock.
Crawford is one of those guys, and of course, you know, we can't say anything bad about Canelo because he's the top of the top 2, but that's my opinion. That's my pick.
The respect is mutual, but the prediction, it's bold. Meanwhile, Canelo has business to handle. On May 3rd, he faces undefeated William Skull with the undisputed crown on the line. Only after that can we talk about Crawford. But if all goes to plan, Canelo versus Crawford could be the biggest test of both their legacies. So the question is, can skills beat size? Can Crawford walk through fire and pull off the unthinkable? Or will Canelo prove, once again, that this is his kingdom? As the boxing world braces for a potential mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, the opinions of those who've actually stood across from Crawford inside the ring are starting to hit different. One of the most revealing voices comes from a young fighter carrying a legendary name, Fernando Vargas Jr., son of former world champ Fernando Vargas. Unlike most commentators who analyze from afar, Vargas Jr. felt Crawford's timing, strength, and mentality firsthand. And what he experienced during their sparring session completely changed how he views Crawford's chances against Canelo. The gap in weight, the power difference, Vargas says that doesn't matter because Crawford is operating on a level most people don't understand.
Yeah, I was able to hang in there with Terence, and he's like Michael Myers, bro. He's so patient in there. Like, he's gonna get you, but he's gonna get you when he wants to.
This isn't just an analogy. Vargas isn't talking about some flashy footwork or highlight reel combos. He's talking about cold, calculated violence. Crawford doesn't chase knockouts. He stalks. He breaks fighters down mentally before he touches them physically. His patience isn't hesitation. It's premeditation. Every feint, every angle is a setup. Crawford doesn't react. He invites you in, makes you think you're in control, and then punishes the thought.
He set up traps, and, you know, I learned in there, and you know, every time he sees us at the fights or he sees my dad, it's always respect. So I take my hat off to, you know, Terence.
Even in controlled sparring, Crawford's mind is always 10 moves ahead, and Vargas Jr., a strong, skilled fighter himself, left that ring with a new education. He wasn't just outboxed, he was mentally unraveled by someone who was barely trying. That's the part most fans miss. Crawford doesn't just win, he teaches.
But man, well, you mentioned he sets traps.
Yeah.
Is that the best counterpuncher you ever been in the ring with?
Sheesh, yeah.
Best fighter?
Best fighter for sure.
Okay.
I think Terence, he's a thinker. He sets traps like you said, and he's strong. I think a lot of people are underestimating with Canelo because Canelo's real big.
Vargas isn't just handing out compliments. He's issuing a warning. The narrative that Crawford is too small, that he can't hang with Canelo's size, Vargas says that's blind thinking. He thought he could manhandle Crawford with his own 175 to 180 pound frame, but he couldn't move him an inch. That's because Crawford's strength doesn't come from bulk. It comes from leverage, from his wrestling background, from years of learning how to control another man's body with pure positioning and timing. He doesn't just hit hard, he knows how to stop you from fighting back.
He is real strong. I know he used to wrestle and stuff, so I thought I was walking around a buck 70, 75, 80, and I thought I was gonna be able to move him around and,
And you have power.
Yeah. And he knows how to, he's strong, man, so it's gonna be a good fight with him and Canelo. I want to see Terence, how he would be able to take Canelo's best punch. If he could take Canelo's best punch, Terence could do it.
Yeah.
Terence could do it.
405. 405. There you go.
But it wasn't just the power that stood out, it was the pace, the engine. Vargas expected a high-level spar, but he didn't expect Crawford to keep pushing with barely any rest. No drop in sharpness, no sign of fatigue. That's the kind of endurance champions are built on.
I think when we sparred, he did like 4-minute rounds or 5-minute. I'm not too sure, but it was more minutes, and the rest was like 20 seconds. So I got some water, and he's already like ready to go. So that right there is another level. You can fight like that anywhere, altitude or whatever, won't make a difference.
That kind of stamina doesn't come from cardio. It comes from pain, from discipline, from decades of pushing past the point where most fighters break. Crawford doesn't just fight hard, he makes you fight hard. And once you're tired, that's when he starts setting traps you'll walk into without knowing.
But he does know how to make you tired. He does know how to use your strength as your weaknesses. So I learned a lot that day.
For Fernando Vargas Jr., someone carrying the pressure of legacy and walking his own path in boxing, sparring Crawford was more than a session. It was a reality check. And that reality, Terence Crawford isn't just a great fighter. He's a master of mental warfare. He's strong, he's smart, and he's durable. The real question for Canelo is no longer, is Crawford too small? It's, can you beat a man who already knows exactly how to beat you? Fernando Vargas Jr. believes if Crawford can take Canelo's best punch, it's over. Because everything else, timing, traps, conditioning, IQ, that's already in Crawford's bag. That's not hype. That's the word from someone who survived the storm and came out a believer. While Terence Crawford is being celebrated for chasing greatness, Jaron Boots Ennis is raising a serious flag about the reality of the challenge ahead. Ennis isn't just another spectator. He's one of the most feared welterweights on the planet, unbeaten and poised to dominate the division Crawford left behind. And as he prepares for his own high-stakes bout with Imantas Stanionis, Boots made it clear Crawford better think twice before leaping straight into the fire.
I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight, at like 60, or like at least at 60, just to get his body, to fill into somebody a little bit bigger, and things like that.
It wasn't said as a jab, it was said as a warning. Boots respects Crawford's skills, but he's also seen too many elite fighters jump up in weight without understanding the shock that comes with it. The rhythm changes. The power feels different. The shots that used to land clean don't carry the same effect, and the ones you take, they start to hurt in ways you've never felt before.
But I think you gotta lean more towards Canelo, because like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down, and Canelo not even really a 68 pounder. He probably really should be at 60 maybe, and he been hurting these guys. I think he be dropping these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200 pounds, and he dropping those guys like that. So I don't know. It's going to be a great fight.
Boots didn't sugarcoat it. He knows exactly what Crawford's walking into. Canelo might be shorter in stature, but his weight on fight night isn't just size. It's density, it's pressure, and it's proven knockout power against men who walk into the ring like light heavyweights. Crawford, by contrast, has never fought above 147 in a sanctioned bout. That's a jump of 21 pounds. And when you're standing across from a fighter known for folding men like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders, that gap becomes more than just numbers. It becomes survival. And it's not just Ennis waving the caution flag. Former world champion and top analyst Timothy Bradley echoed the same concerns, pointing out how massive of a leap Crawford is attempting. Bradley's voice matters. He's fought the best, shared a division with Crawford, and understands the limits of even the most talented fighters when physics come into play. Bradley stated while talking to Boxing Scene, "It's a real jump. Crawford is probably the most complete fighter right now." Bradley knows the talent is there, but this fight isn't just about skills, it's about territory. Canelo lives at 168. Crawford would be crossing borders blind, with no tune-up, no test run, and no margin for error. It's like climbing Everest without first learning how to breathe at base camp. Terence Crawford has already stated, "I'll fight anybody, any weight." That's what greatness is about. But that's Terence Crawford. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't wait for permission. He's already walked through 3 weight classes and dominated all of them. And now, despite the size, despite the risk, despite every logical reason to hesitate, he's ready to walk straight into Canelo's domain. For Crawford, it's not just a challenge, it's legacy. And win or lose, that mentality is what separates great fighters from the ones who define eras. When one of boxing's most respected multi-division champions speaks, you listen. And that's exactly what Nonito Donaire did when asked about the biggest potential fight in the sport: Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. The Filipino Flash, known for his IQ, power, and longevity across 4 weight classes, didn't hesitate. While many are focused on Crawford's size disadvantage, Donaire sees something else. Something far more dangerous than size: the mind.
Canelo's a stronger guy, the bigger guy, but in the fight with a guy that moves around, and if Crawford uses his skills and his legs and his technique and just his ability, I think he can win. He can win the fight in decision, as long as he doesn't get hit with those big shots from Canelo.
Donaire isn't some analyst trying to stir headlines. He's been in the trenches. He knows what it's like to fight above your natural weight. He's experienced how timing and precision can neutralize raw size. And to him, Crawford isn't just a slick boxer. He's a calculated assassin who dissects his opponents, no matter how big, how strong, or how decorated. To Donaire, this isn't a mismatch. It's a chess match. And in that game, Crawford just might have more pieces on the board. While many admire Terence Crawford's boldness in chasing greatness, not everyone is convinced it's a smart move, especially someone who shared the ring with real power. Former world champion Victor Ortiz didn't sugarcoat his thoughts when asked to break down Crawford's chances against the naturally bigger and more seasoned Canelo Alvarez. With the same honesty that defined his explosive fight style, Ortiz predicted a decisive outcome, and not in Crawford's favor.
I mean, just to keep it real, I think he's too small. Like, yeah, I know he just weighed in at 180 right now, but just putting on the weight, and actually belonging to that weight are two different things, you know.
That line struck deep. Ortiz didn't just raise a question about the number on the scale. He questioned whether Crawford could truly absorb and return fire at the super middleweight level. In his eyes, walking into the lion's den without first learning how to survive the terrain is a major gamble, especially when the lion's name is Canelo. Ortiz wasn't trying to downplay Crawford's skills, but he made it clear, this isn't a test you take cold.
I would understand maybe if he fought someone of less caliber, but it's Canelo we're talking about. You know, I mean, that dude is good.
Yeah,
you know, he's been running boxing for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you're gonna say Canelo stoppage or just Canelo win?
I think it's gonna be a very clear win.
A clear win.
A clear win.
And when it came to Crawford's in-ring habits, Ortiz went a step further. He didn't just highlight the size difference, he brought up vulnerability, a trait rarely discussed in the context of Crawford's dominance, but one that could be brutally exposed at 168.
And I know I'm going to get some for saying this because of me, but Crawford gets hit. He does.
Yeah.
He gets hit like everybody else. Sometimes he gets hit pretty clean. If you get hit clean by Canelo, that's not good. You know, it's really not good, whoever you are. And Canelo's fast. It's not like he's a slow puncher. He will catch you off guard.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just different.
Ortiz's tone wasn't dismissive, it was cautionary. His message, you can be slick, smart, and fearless. But against a battle-hardened champion like Canelo, one clean shot might be all it takes to rewrite history. As speculation continues to swirl around a potential Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown, the conversation isn't just about power and prestige. It's about what really decides super fights at the highest level. And while Mayweather's former manager recently shared his take, insights from boxing legends like Roy Jones Jr. and Mikey Garcia help paint the bigger picture. Roy Jones Jr., a man who conquered multiple weight classes throughout his iconic career, believes the Canelo vs. Crawford matchup goes far deeper than just size or strength. For Jones, the key isn't in the physical numbers, but in the mentality both fighters bring into the ring.
It'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man, he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat.
He warned that trying to outbox someone as cerebral and slick as Crawford is a mistake, even for a technician like Canelo. In his view, the version of Canelo that tries to play it safe or box clean could walk straight into Crawford's rhythm and trap game. But if Canelo shows up aggressive, like the one who broke down fighters like Caleb Plant or Billy Joe Saunders, that pressure could shift the entire tide of the fight.
If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo come to the dance.
Jones's message was simple yet powerful. Mindset and identity will define the night. It's not about who's more skilled or stronger. It's about who imposes their will and who folds under the moment. As the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez looms closer, opinions are continuing to shift. Showbiz, the adult, a prominent voice in the boxing community, had initially expressed doubts about Crawford's chances against the Mexican powerhouse, citing size and strength as major hurdles. However, he's had a change of heart and now believes that Crawford actually has a real shot at pulling off the upset. Showbiz begins, breaking down his revised perspective. His reasoning isn't just rooted in Crawford's physical attributes, it's about Canelo's vulnerabilities. This is a crucial observation that many may overlook when discussing the matchup. Showbiz acknowledges the natural question that arises when someone so much smaller faces Canelo, but he believes he has the answer, and it's grounded in the tactics Floyd Mayweather used to stymie Canelo back in 2013.
I know how Bud Crawford beats Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez isn't effective and he gets tired when he boxes going backwards. So I was saying, how is he going to do that as a small man? I know how, because Floyd did it.
He explains that Floyd stopped Canelo in his tracks with one well-timed punch, making the difference in that historic fight. According to Showbiz, this strategy is key to neutralizing Canelo's forward momentum, especially if he's forced to fight off his back foot. He compares it to the same technique Floyd used to disrupt Canelo's flow.
How did Floyd stop Canelo in his tracks? One punch. Terence Bud Crawford can be strong enough and he's smart enough with good enough footwork to stab jab him right at the belt line. What Floyd did was he paired it with a straight up top. The stab, jab to the waistline.
By revisiting the tactics used in Mayweather's win, Showbiz now sees Crawford's potential to use similar strategies. It's not about being the bigger man or overpowering Canelo. It's about execution, intelligence, and patience. If Crawford can successfully replicate what Floyd did, the fight could be a lot closer than people think. Showbiz's analysis brings a fresh perspective, shedding light on the strategies that could level the playing field for Terence Crawford against the larger and more powerful Canelo Alvarez. It's clear that, while Canelo's power and experience are unmatched at 168, Crawford's skill set may be the perfect counter. His ability to execute precise movements, like that jab Floyd Mayweather used to stop Canelo in his tracks, could make all the difference. With the right tactics and his mental fortitude, Crawford may be able to do what no one else has done in years: disrupt Canelo's flow and make him uncomfortable in the ring. It's not just about size, it's about strategy, timing, and who can control the pace of the fight. Showbiz believes Crawford's skill set gives him a real chance. But of course, this is the fight business, and anything can happen inside those ropes. Will Crawford's precision and experience at lower weight classes be enough to overcome the challenges of facing Canelo at 168? Do you think Terence Crawford can pull off the upset against Canelo Alvarez? Or will Canelo's size and power prove too much for Crawford? Predict the outcome of this potential mega fight in the comments below.